Materials of construction: concrete hollow blocks. Concrete hollow blocks (CHB) are one of the most extensively used walling materials in the Philippines. Some of the reasons for this is their relative low cost when compared to other materials and speed of installation by semi-skilled laborers. Advantages: readily available product, good thermal and sound resistance, high fire resistance, can be reinforced to increase lateral resistance against earthquakes and typhoons, 20+ years lifespan. Standard size in the Philippines: length to 40 centimeters, height to 20 centimeters, depth 10 centimeters and 15 centimeters. Materials for concrete hollow block. For proportioning of concrete for the manufacture of CHBS. This is done into different ways by weight or volume. The most common method is by volume, for example using a bucket. For the mixture for CHBS, the mix proportion is 1:7 as per structural engineer specification. For water, clean water should be used. It shall not exceed 28 liters per 40 kilograms per bag of cement, slump test as per STMC 143. Also shall not exceed 10 centimeters unless specified by a structural engineer. Common CHB mix is 1/2 bucket water, 1 bucket cement and 7 buckets of sand. Crushed coarse sand or gravel is optimal for the manufacture of CHBS. Avoid sand sourced from rivers and coastal areas. See sand. Common mortar mix is 1 bucket of water, 1 bucket cement and 3 buckets of sand. For mixing time, if batch mixer is used, use accurate timing and measuring devices to operate as per manufacturer's instructions. Revolutions should be between 14 and 20 per minute. Curing takes place after being removed from the mold. The CHBS should be covered with a plastic sheet or tarpaulin and kept damp and shaded for at least 7 days in order to effectively cure. This can be achieved by continually spraying them with water or keeping them under water in tanks. A good curing process leads to less cracking and a stronger, harder, denser and more durable concrete. Process. Mixing. Normally, sand and gravel are stored in compartments and cement is stored in huge silos, usually holding up 50 tons of cement or more to produce the mortar needed for hollow cement blocks. These materials are first delivered to weighing batches of the interlocking brick machine. They are weighed and added to the mixer one by one. Weighing is done in order to have the right mixture. When the dry materials are delivered to the mixer, it's time for the mixer to start mixing them together. Water is added gradually to the mixture. Mixing takes about 4 to 5 minutes and is then delivered to the paver block machine. Pressing or molding. This means taking the mortar to the molds and pressing them. There are conveyor belts to do this duty, and when the mortar is delivered to the hollow block machine, it is automatically guided into the molds. The hollow block machine uses vibration and hydraulic force to densify the mortar and shape the hollow cement block over the pallets. This usually takes place on the surface of the pallet. Optionally, there is a brush that cleans the surface of the blocks after it is pressed. Curing. When the hollow cement blocks are pressed on the pallets, they need to be delivered to a place to be dried out. It is called the curing section. Usually, you just need to leave them in a roofed area away from the sun and water them around 4 or 5 times a day. There is another way too. The hollow blocks get dried by high temperature and pressure. This machine is called an autoclave. It requires more energy and of course more cost. That's why it is not too popular. But for special purpose concrete blocks, these blocks can be produced. Quality control. You should always control the weighing system and pressing system in order to Have the same quality of hollow blocks all the time. It is important to have the same quality of blocks or you will lose your customer in the future. So, the pressure of the pressing system and the ratio of the raw materials in the mortar should be the same to keep the same quality in your product. CHP tips. Selection of raw materials for the manufacture of CHPs. It is recommended to use good quality, clean ingredients. Avoid using beach sand as it contains salt, which significantly compromises the quality of concrete. Proportions of materials in mixture. Mix concrete well, using the proportions specified by a structural engineer. Ensure that an adequate amount of cement is added and avoid adding excessive water as it weakens the mixture. Concrete should stand up when mixed. Mixing. Use a mixing board, otherwise water used for mixing will percolate into the ground and impurities such as dirt and grass could become incorporated into the mixture. If concrete is mixed in batches, maintain consistent proportions for all batches.